Okay. I've been meaning to talk about the show for so long. But I was like, no, this time around, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the final episode of the show because so many times I've seen shows that were ruined by horrible endings or horrible final seasons. And BoJack Horseman might just be my favorite TV show of all time. It definitely is my favorite TV show of the last decade. And I've watched the show religiously ever since I got into it. And now that I've seen the final episode of the show, the series finale, I gotta say, I love the show even more. Seriously, it's that good. But let me back it up a little bit because BoJack Horseman means a lot to me. When people first started recommending it to me, I checked out the trailer, and the trailer for season one, by the way, is horrible. It doesn't do the show justice, and it's just a marketing fail. They marketed this show as a comedy, and it's not. It's a tragedy. It's seriously a hard-hitting character piece, a drama, a tragedy, and to promote it like that is just dumb. And I saw the first couple episodes. It's like I'm liking it fine. There's nothing special about it because, admittedly, the first couple episodes are just about this universe, this Hollywood, this world where anthropomorphic animals and human beings interact. Uh, a lot of a lot of silly jokes. Nothing that deep, yet nothing that funny. So I was like, am I really interested? Do I care? Do I give a shit? And then by episode 9 or 10, I think it was 10, I don't know. The mask came off, and I realized, oh my god, this show is about depression. This is the most honest, realistic, authentic representation of depression I've ever seen on any screen, and I need to continue because this show blew me away. So let's go down the list of the characters, what I love about the show, what I maybe do not like about the show. Starting with Will Arnett as Bojack Horseman. Bojack Horseman might just be the most complex character I've ever seen, ever. He used to be the star of a silly 90s sitcom called Horse and Around, which is basically Full House. It's meant to be like Full House. Uh, and now in his late 40s, mid 50s maybe, he's a slob. He's lazy as shit. He does a lot of drugs. He hooks up with a lot of women, and he's severely depressed and unhappy. So he wants to publish his own memoirs in order to give life a second chance. But he himself constantly gets in the way of everything, even his own success. And as the show progresses, we learn a lot more about this guy. We learn about his troubled past with his parents. He came from an abusive home. We learn about how he fucked over his very best friend who helped him start his career. A guy called Herb, who's voiced by Stanley Tucci, if I'm not mistaken. And also his relationship with the other main characters, because the other main characters are all perfectly written, perfectly voiced, and amazing. We got Diane Nguyen, voiced by Alison Brie. She is trying to help Bojack publish his memoir. She wants to write it. She wants to write these for him. We got Mr. Peanut Butter, voiced by what's his name, Paul F. Tompkins. I don't know. I probably butchered his name, but Bojack perceives him as his rival, even though he's just a happy dog, okay, and husband of Diane. Then we got Todd, who is voiced by Aaron Paul, the always funny, always happy roommate of Bojack. And we got Princess Caroline, who's his agent, a workaholic. And over the course of the series, we start to realize that these main characters have issues, have layers. Like, for example, Mr. Peanut Butter, couldn't stand him in the first season. Then I realized, oh my god, he's actually trying to be that happy person because deep inside, very often he is super sad, super traumatized by reality. Bojack himself, I mentioned him before. Uh, every single season, they find a way to develop him further, to make me understand him more. And every single time there is this low point. I think it's normally the second to last episode every single season. The first one was this epic drug bender that ended horribly for him. The second one was when he decided to leave Hollywood behind and find his former love interest, but it ended terribly because he almost made out with her teenage daughter. And the third one, he and his former co-star Sarah Lynn, who was like a daughter to him, even though he had sex with her at some point, he basically got her killed during an epic drug bender. In season 4, we learned that he does have a sister called Hollyhock. And for the very first time, it seemed like he's back on track. But in season 5, it all went downhill again when he started taking drugs again. It started as he started to do that because of his back, because he hurt his back. But it got really bad, and he ended up strangling one of his co-stars, which was, wow, that was a tough episode. And now season 6, Bojack is a little older. He wants to leave all of that shit behind. We kick off season 6, part 2, with him being a teacher at a university, teaching kids about, not kids, but students about acting. And he's great at it, but his past comes back to haunt him because we already saw that a couple very nosy journalists were starting to investigate the circumstances relating to Sarah Lynn and Bojack's possible involvement with her death. And they start digging deeper and deeper. So eventually they find Penny, they find Bojack's former love interest. And this season, everything just comes back to haunt him. And to me, the 2 final episodes of this show are amazing. Because in 6:15, is when he wakes up in this dreamlike scenario where he meets everyone he has lost so far. Sarah Lynn, Herb Kazaz, even the guy that strangled himself because of this sexual fetish that he had. His father, but his father is played by Secretariat, his idol from when he was a child, and a horse that he played himself in a movie. And of course his mother, and we know about the abusive relationship between her and him, and her tragic death, and the eulogy episode, all of that. So he was confronted by the ghosts of his past, and at some point you realize he's actually dying right now. He's drowning in his pool, and there's no one to help him this time. I was like, wow, this is a rough one. That episode really hit me hard. I was like, I was sure that he was going to die. And then the final episode happened. We learned that he survived, but he was sentenced to prison. And they do flash forward a little bit. And Princess Carolyn is finally getting married. I mean, she finally finds happiness in her life, because that's been one of the things with her. She was never really happy. She was not happy, even though she was a workaholic. But work didn't really satisfy her. Her relationships didn't either. And she had a kid, but she was just completely overstressed by everything. And now she finally found someone, the dude, like her assistant, and they got married. Diane is still with her current boyfriend, who's now her husband. And Mr. Peanut Butter, of all people, picks Bojack up from prison, spends some time with him. And I think this has been the most intimate and honest interaction between these two characters, but in a real, in a real Mr. Peanut Butter fashion. He abandons him at the wedding because Mr. Peanut Butter has the attention span of a dog, and Bojack gets the pep talk from Todd of all people, which is something that I really loved, because Bojack, I mean, Todd basically lived off of Bojack for so long, and Bojack screwed him over. But now to have that closure with these two guys is amazing. And the thing he says, like Bojack was like, "Yeah, but what if I leave prison and I OD again? I start doing drugs again, all this stuff." He's like, "Well, after that, you'll be sober again." Because this is what the show has always been about. There is no such thing as happy ending or horrible ending. There is no such thing as ending unless you die. You can have the best day of your entire life, but there will be a day after this. You can have the worst day of your entire life, and there can be a day after this. So I was glad that the final episode was used for Bojack to interact with all of the other main characters. Then he had a really sweet dance with Princess Carolyn at her wedding, where she also hinted that she'll always be there for him, but only indirectly. She will recommend him to other people because she will no longer pick up the pieces of this mess, but she's still supportive. So I loved that. It was very real. And it all ended with Diane and Bojack on the roof, very similar to the first season, where they didn't even know how to talk to one another. And she confronted him. She was like, "Dude, you left me a message, and I thought that I thought that you killed yourself. I thought that you died. And when I found out that you survived, I was actually mad at you because once again, you did this to me." Because Diane was always the person Bojack used to call when he was really, really in need of someone to fix his life. And he apologized to her for that. And she hints at the possibility that they may never talk to one another again. So the show ends with both of them on the roof, but they're both unwilling to leave one another. So they just sit there and look at the sky. And this is where the show ends. And I think it's kind of beautiful because Diane says something truly meaningful. She says, you know, she's grateful for all the people that helped her become the person she is. And some people enter your life, but they also leave you. And they're not supposed to be a constant part of your life. They were there for a particular development for your own character. And some people you just lose, and it's okay. You should also be grateful for these people. And this is basically how she feels about Bojack right now. And I was like, damn, that's once again hard-hitting. But the fact that Bojack accepts it, he's not trying to fight any of our main characters. He just deals with it, shows that he's grown. And yeah, that's where the show ends. It ends on a very open note for sequels, but I hope they won't give us more sequels, because to me it ends with a message, a very important message. Life goes on, and some people aren't meant to spend their entire lives together, and some people will come and go, but they will still whip you into shape, make you who you are. I love that message. Similar to some people wanted a sequel to Angel. I love the end of that show, and I think another episode would destroy it. So if you haven't seen Angel, I'm not going to spoil it. But yeah, I love the ending to that show. So yeah, all in all, I think this show was brilliant. I would love to give you another video where I talk about my top 10 favorite episodes, if you'd be interested in something like that. Because this show is so deep, so clever, sometimes so funny, and it has some of the best writing I've ever seen in my entire life. Seriously. So, Bojack Horseman, have you seen it? Are you happy with the finale? Let me know in the comment section below, and thank you guys as always for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.